Hey guys, welcome back. I will start the video by apologizing for any background noise you might hear. I've said it before, I live in a house. Other people live in this house. There are certain times I can record because I do work full time. This is one of those times. They still have to go about their life, so here we are. I thought that I was going to do this in one video and talk about all of my summer fowl or polychilos hybrid species, you know, all of them. Yeah, ain't gonna happen in one video, guys. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whoever you are and however you look at it, I have too many to do in one video. So we are gonna do this in parts. I know it's gonna be 4 parts. It could be 5, but definitely 4. I'm gonna try to keep them under 30 minutes if I can. So here we go. We are gonna start off with our Sogo Vivians here. Now, both of them do live in decorative pots, and they live on, see the bottom of this shelf, you can see right here, they live on that shelf on the outer edge, so they don't get the direct Barina lights. They actually get more of the light from the east-facing window in front of me than they do the Barinas. So this one here is the Philippinesis Sogo Vivian Leaf's Edge, and I received this one from Cinderiana back in July of 2021 as a gift. And then this one is the Sogo Vivian. And I actually purchased this one last year in March at Lowe's, local hardware store here in the United States, for those of you who aren't from the United States. Now, the only difference between these two is, of course, one is variegated and one is not. They both require pretty much the same care, except for I do believe that Sogo Vivian needs a little more light than the regular Sogo Vivian. We'll call this the Leaf's Edge, we'll call this Sogo Vivian, so I don't keep repeating the same thing over and over. That's kind of irritating, isn't it? So the Leaf's Edge requires a little more light to hold on to the variegation, in my opinion. And then the Sogo Vivian, she grows like any other Phalaenopsis. As far as blooms, they have the same exact blooms. They both bloom for me at the same time. They look exactly the same. And other than the light requirement, the care is the same. They're both potted in medium Orchiata Bark with some perlite. And they are both doing well. I'm not going to say great, they're doing well. So this one, when I got it, did have 2 more leaves down here at the bottom, which she did end up senescing after she bloomed for me. And then this leaf right here was her next new leaf growth, but then she grew this one, and this one wasn't much bigger than the other one, so I was a little concerned. So I took her out of the pot and I repotted her, and all of the roots, well, not all of them, but the majority of the roots that you see in here, especially down at the bottom, those were all her aerial roots. She had a bazillion aerial roots. I utilized those as my plan B, as we like to call it. This root right here is a new growth from her. Now, I don't see any new root activity at the base, and have not since I repotted her in October of last year. I did do a video, I'll link it down below, where I repotted both of the girls. However, what she has done is she's grown this leaf right here and then put on this nice strong leaf here. So this leaf is a smidge larger than this one, not much, a smidge. And as you can see, the variegation is not very strong in either leaf. Right now, I want her to focus on leaf growth and root growth. The variegation can go away from what I've heard. Fine with that. This is a gift. I want to make sure I keep it, even if it loses all its variegation and looks like the Sogo Vivian that I got from Lowe's. Speaking of the Sogo Vivian that I purchased from Lowe's, and both of these, I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, sit on that shelf right under the edge there. But this one, and I'll just show you the tag. Let's see, did a root, nope, okay. Thought a root got stuck on it. There's the tag for that one. And like I said, you can find this one at your local hardware store, probably grocery store. You just have to keep a lookout for it. I found this one in March, sorry. Repotted her in this in October, same time I did that one. When I put her in here, she was suffering roots as well. But as you can see, she has recovered her root system. Not extensively, but she's getting there. She's got one growing out. She's also grown this leaf and then is working on a new leaf right there. So again, other than this one root right here, I don't see any root growth from the base. But the cool thing about this one is it went in, and see the bark that stuck to it? It came out, but then it decided to take a nosedive back into the media. These ladies are interesting, aren't they? Amazing the things that they'll do. All right, move those out the way. Now, got two more that are the same here. So these are Matubalinas. I purchased one and the other one was gifted. So I received both of these in September of 2021 from Orchid Classics. And I'll just show you both tags are practically the same, except one says gift. Well, the reason it was a gift, not because they generally throw in a orchid with your order. I had actually ordered a different orchid, cannot remember what it was. The order was for the Balina, okay? And then I was like, well, she needs a friend to travel with, so let me order another one. Couldn't tell you to this day what that orchid was. They didn't have that orchid. So instead of just sending a different replacement, because I always put on my orders in the comments, replacements accepted. Okay. Well, they replaced it with another Balina. Anyway, let me move on. Because that every time I talk about that, it kind of irritates me a little bit that you would replace it with the same plant that I ordered. Like, why wouldn't you just put a different plant of the same type I ordered that you're out of stock on, but different than the one you're sending me? Anyway, they both came looking about the same. So I'm going to show you this one real quick. So if you look at the leaves, minus this one, those little small leaves, they both had really small leaves when they came. Fairly decent root system. Nothing, nothing to write home about. This one here is the one that is doing the best. So she, since being here in 2021, has grown this leaf, and then all of the bigger leaves. This is her most current leaf here, and it's too late to try to pin her off to the side, so I'm just gonna let her grow the way she wants. This one is in moss and just medium Orchiata Bark, which, by the way, guys, you can get this stuff at the Orchid Supply Store, and these square pots are lovely. Use coupon code TRISH at checkout and get your 12% off when you go buy your supplies, your orchids, your bird houses. I'm going to go on about these bird houses, guys, just so you know, in probably all the videos until I get my birdhouse, and I will be doing an unboxing. Keep a lookout for that. But look at her leaves, just lovely. And I recently repotted her into this because the setup that she was in, which was the same, bark and moss, she'd been in for almost 2.5 years. Or 2.5 years, a year and a half. And the moss that I was using was not that quality moss, so had to replace it. Now, let's talk about this one. For those of you who've been watching my Saturday strolling or just any of my orchid updates, anytime I come across this one, I always talk bad about her. Talking about how she doesn't do anything, she needs to do something, I'm tired of her just sitting there, the whole nine. Well, she said, hold my coffee, because I got something to show you, lady. I'm sick of you talking about me. Look at this beautiful leaf she's growing. Look how big it is compared to this last one. And she grew this one 2021, okay? 2021, so it's been almost a whole year since she's done anything. And that's why I was talking about her. So she's like, well, I'm just going to grow you a leaf, and a ginormous leaf at that. And I'm going to take a picture so you can really see it. But not only is she growing a leaf, let me move this out of the way. Not only is she growing a leaf, she's like, I might even try to kick out a little spike here. I don't know if you can see that, but like I said, I will take a picture and post it so you can really see the close-up. She initially was in a moss mix. Then I did the moss and bark mix. Then I did just bark. And finally in, let me check my little taggy tag here. Put that one there. In, let's see, in February of 2022, so 1.5 years ago, 1.5 years ago, I put her in the lek. Again, she just sat there. But now I flush her a little more often, especially since she's doing something, because I figure if she's growing that leaf and trying to work on a spike, she might be trying to do some roots down there too. So I need to make sure that the oxygenation is really, really good in here. And that is why I'm starting with all of my leca ladies. Most of them on the shelf right there are in leca. Some of them are in regular media or in organic media. But look at that. I am so loving this. And whether she develops that spike or not, I'm proud of her. Very proud of her. So if you want your orchids to do something, just keep talking about them. Keep bad-mouthing them. They'll get upset eventually and do something for you. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. So this one is the Philippinesis Yin's Black Eagle, which is a dragon tree eagle crossed with grosbeak. I received this one from Orchid Supply Store in July of 2021. And again, when it came, it had this leaf, so finished this leaf, grew this leaf, and that lick bead is about to fall out. Move that out the way. And then she just sat. Nothing. Earlier this year, she pushed out a little tiny spike that you can kind of see it dried off right here. It's a really short spike, and she gave me 2 blooms. They were beautiful, and they did have that, almost like citronella to me. It's not a citrusy. It's like that citronella smell that you use to ward off like mosquitoes and stuff. It wasn't bad. I like that smell. But now she is working on a beautiful new leaf, and as you can see, she has lots of roots going down in the pot, and I'm sure there's roots in the pot as well if she's doing all of this. And I'm gonna do the big pots last, and then my mini mark. Oh my God, guys, look at the size of that leaf. Look at the size of that leaf compared to the previous. So let me show you the tag. Again, this is another Brookside Orchids. It is Philippinesis Mini Mark, Micronova crossed with Philippinesis. Again, a July 2021 purchase. And let me just show you her leaf growth progression. So she came with these 2 bottom leaves. She grew this leaf, decided she was going to spike. Grew this leaf, decided she was going to spike. And now this ginormous, it's ginormous compared to the rest of them, leaf. Is that not just beautiful? Just gorgeous. Oh my goodness. And she's got new root activity. So she will probably finish this leaf, and if she stays true to form, push out those beautiful creamy white blooms with the yellow spots, not yellow, the orange spots and the orange lip. She's just fantastically beautiful. Okay, which big girl do we start with? We'll start this way and work our way around. How's that? We'll do that. First off, we have my Cinderiana here. This is Philippinesis Cinderiana, again from the Orchid Classics or Orchid Web. I received her back in August of 21. She's one of the ones that came in the buy 5 and get for a certain price order where I let them pick, and this is one they picked, and I'm so glad they did. But she's going to be a ginormous lady. So she no longer sits on that shelf. She actually sits on the very top shelf facing the east-facing window, and there is a Barina light that's kind of between her and the east-facing window. Since I've purchased her, she has lost, I believe, 2 leaves. So she's lost 2 leaves. But she has grown this leaf, and each leaf is getting a little bit bigger than the last. And now she's working on this leaf. And if I look really, really deep, you probably won't see it, and I probably can't take a picture, but if I look really, really deep in there, I see the beginnings of the next leaf already coming out. So all of the girls that are in self-watering, the LECA setup, I flush them. I try to flush them at least once a week. The goal is twice a week right now with all the active growth, just to make sure, because I am fertilizing them fairly high, anywhere from 300 to 400 parts per million. So I'm trying to make sure I'm doing enough flushing to keep that salt from building up onto the LECA. But to be honest, I probably once a week is where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right now. This LECA here is some good stuff, guys. You can get it from the Orchid Supply Store. So even if you grow in self-watering hydroponics, whether it's orchids or plants, they've got you covered. I'm telling you, get that 12% using TRISH at checkout. And we've got Miss Goldstaff, who's got a plethora of orchid species in her parentage. She is definitely a hybrid of a lot a lot. She's got Equestris, Ambus, a couple of other things. I know Equestris is the one that stands out in my head. But this one I specifically purchased from Lowe's to transition into LECA. This is the first success I've had. This one here is my first successful LECA Phalaenopsis, and I purchased her in May of 2021, so what, a little over 2 years ago. But this is the DPTS or DTPS or Phalaenopsis, not Dorianthopsis, Shinray's Gold Staff. And let me tell you, this girl is a show off. She recently had 2 spikes cut off of her, quickly developed a leaf with another spike that I cut off prematurely because I wanted her to focus on leaf growth, kicked out another leaf, and as you can see, has another spike. So this leaf right here was her first leaf in LECA, and then she grew this leaf, and then this one when I switched her over to the Orchid Supply LECA, and has just been growing ever since. Like, she just loves this. And here's an example of why I need to flush more. This is a new setup, and I already have salt buildup. So that is my sign that I need to flush more often. So I'm going to have to make it a point and put it on my schedule to flush, because that is the key of keeping salt out of these pots. Move this one. No, we'll talk about this one. She's right here. So this is Philippinesis inscriptiosus. She's a species from Sumatra. Orchid Supply Store in September of 2022. So not quite a year with her, but she came with 3 spikes, has grown 3 more. So let's just count them. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up under here, if you can see it. Sticking out right there, 5, and then 6 back here. We do have in our future quite a few blooms coming. Now, she has bloomed off of the spikes that she came with. She gave me like 1 bloom each. They're pretty. They're very dainty and delicate. I didn't detect any scent off of them, but who knows? Her magnesium deficiency is slowly fixing itself. I don't think it'll be 100% on these older leaves. She has a new leaf coming, so that will be my clue as to whether or not she's kind of recovered. I was trying to see if I could show you guys, but I don't think, yeah, I think if we look at it from, let's see, which angle can we look at it from? No, I'll end up tumping her out, but she does have a new leaf coming as well. I also, when I potted her into this, because she was in a smaller self-watering pot like this, and I was having to water way too much. So when I put her into this big girl here, which is a 7.5 inch, she had lots and lots of aerial roots, and I put all of those aerial roots into the LECA because they all had active root tips. So if you want to transition an orchid from organic to inorganic and it doesn't have new roots, if you're not patient enough to wait for those new roots, you can take the aerial roots if she has some. I mean, I would suggest 3 to 5. Like, I wouldn't do it with just 1, but 3 to 5 aerial roots. Soak them really well so you can make them nice and pliable, and then you can put them in the media if they have active root tips, because with those active root tips, somehow it changes the dynamic of how they grow, and they will take to that media a little bit quicker. They're not all going to survive 100%, but 80% of the time it's going to make it through. My Leaf's Edge Sogo Vivian is an example of that. She recovered from me using her aerial roots. Sip of coffee real quick. And again, I am not sponsored, affiliated in any way with this cup logo. I just like that cup. I know I say that all the time, but I just want to make sure that I'm not going to get dinged for that. And then this one is actually one of my faves. Like, she is one of my faves. This is the Philippinesis Tai Shing Fly Eagle, the Wilson number 66. Again, from Brooksides in September of 21. And oh my, she has just done so well since I've had her. So she's lost 3 leaves since I've had her, because this leaf is the last leaf that she came with. So she's grown 3 leaves with me. And of course, this one's a little bit smaller, but I did repot her into a bigger pot because, again, she was in the little smaller pot, having to water too much. Put her in here. She had this spike from last year, which has already put out 3 blooms, and this is her 4th bloom. And she is working on some more buds in the back here. And this is this year's spike with 2 blooms still on it, and working on another set of blooms there as well. And the only reason I have this one kind of staked down is because if I unstake it or unclip it, she hangs into another pot, and I don't want that to happen. So I do have her clipped right here. Make sure it's not, there we go. And when I do that, because she doesn't really sit all the way up, I always like to put the sharper parts up against the bamboo skewer to keep from damaging my spike itself. So this is the first set. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the progress of the ladies. And if there's anything that you want me to expound upon, leave it in the comments below. Or if you'd like a separate video, well, let me know that too. I always like to give you guys what you want. And with that, you guys have a beautiful rest of the day. See you next time.